The Knicks are going to be without their best defender in one of their toughest matchups of the entire season against the Boston Celtics. The Knicks have just provided a devastating update about OG Anunoby and his injury. And Karl-Anthony Towns recently spoke to the media about Mitchell Robinson and forming a tall lineup with him once he eventually returns. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications turned on. So that way, anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. Devastating OG Anunoby injury update. Tonight, the Knicks take on the Boston Celtics. This rematch matters, and the Knicks are looking to get some revenge after the last matchup that we had. However, they're going to have to do it without their best defender in OG Anunoby. Initially, when we heard about OG Anunoby's non-contact foot injury, we all thought it was going to be the worst. We thought potentially he could miss weeks, maybe even months. But after Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks announced that it was only a foot sprain, I think we all were hopeful that he was only going to miss a week. But after this latest injury update, it seems that Anunoby is not anywhere close to returning. Shout out to New York Basketball on the app X for giving us the following information. Here's the Knicks injury report against the Celtics tonight. OG Anunoby is doubtful with a right foot sprain. And honestly speaking, he is not going to be playing tonight against Boston. Karl-Anthony Towns is also on the injury report. He is probable with right knee patellar tendinopathy, basically jumper's knee. He will be playing tonight, though. He's been probable for the last few games and has been playing. So tonight's not going to be any different for him. He's definitely going to suit up in one of the more important games for the Knicks during this season. With Josh Hart, he's also probable with a sore right knee. But Josh Hart, it doesn't matter what condition he's in. He is always going to find a way to play. Probable, questionable, doubtful, no matter what. Josh Hart, he always tries to show up and be available for his team. And you have to respect that. We also have to mention, and I didn't know this part, Pacome Dadier, Kevin McCullough Jr., he's back on the injury report. And Mitchell Robinson, they all remain out. Now, Dadier, I knew he was out with the toe issue. Mitchell Robinson, obviously, we all understand why he's out. But Kevin McCullough Jr., didn't he just return? I don't know why he's back on the injury report. Hopefully, we can get some more clarity on that very soon. But going back to OG Anunoby here, shout out to Ian Bagley with SNY for giving us the following update. OG Anunoby, foot sprain, was able to participate in parts of practice yesterday, but hasn't been taking contact yet. When answering questions about Anunoby and whether he's been cleared for contact, Tom Thibodeau added, it's more precautionary, but Anunoby is moving well. Kristen Winfield from the New York Daily News gave us this information about Anunoby. OG did parts of practice and took some contact, but not much. This is a devastating update. The Knicks need OG Anunoby tonight more than any other game we're going to play this season. We remember what happened last time when we played the Boston Celtics. We do not want that to happen again. We want it to be a competitive matchup, and we want to be able to play defense at the best level that we can. If we don't have OG Anunoby on this team, there is no way that we can do that. You want to be fully healthy for these type of matchups because these are statement matchups. If the Knicks win against the Celtics, it sends a message across the league that the Knicks are real, we're legit, and our time is now. Thankfully, for the Boston Celtics, they're also going to be without one of their best defenders in Jrue Holiday. He is out for tonight's game against the New York Knicks. So that makes it a little bit more even. It's still going to be a competitive matchup. But you definitely want OG against the Celtics because his defense on Tatum, on Brown, on some of their best players, it's certainly going to be missed tonight. The only good news to take out of this update that we just received about OG Anunoby is that it sounds like the Knicks are only holding him back just because they're taking precautions with him. They do not want to rush him back. Clearly, A non-contact injury is serious, no matter how you want to slice it. Are we lucky that it's just a foot sprain? Absolutely. It could have been much worse. So the Knicks want to make sure they protect Anunoby, don't rush him back, and make sure that once he comes back, he is fully healthy and ready to contribute at a high level. If you're listening to all of the updates that they're giving us about Anunoby, the way they're bringing him back, the precautions they're taking with him, it sounds like he's going to return for the Knicks after All-Star break. That way, the Knicks give him additional time to rest and recover before he has to come back for this final push until we get to the postseason. I would rather him miss a few games than miss the rest of the entire season. And that's the risk with OG and bringing him back too early. Wait and bring him back when he's fully healthy and ready to return. I hope he recovers fast, and when he does come back, he has no lingering issues, because we're going to need a healthy OG if we're going to make a strong postseason push. Talking about the postseason, though, we're going to need another player in the postseason, and that's Mitchell Robinson. And thankfully, he is very close to returning. Reports are indicating that Robinson could return as early as this month. And once he does return, we're going to see that double big lineup. And recently, Karl-Anthony Towns spoke to the media about Mitchell Robinson returning and what that can mean to the lineup. And he even spoke about a new rotation that's going to be added once Robinson returns. He's calling this new rotation the tall lineup. Let's break down exactly what Cat had to say. Karl-Anthony Towns on forming a tall lineup once Mitchell Robinson returns. According to Cat, tall lineups. It's going to be exciting to kind of explore that lineup. I have some familiarity from playing with Rudy. I'll tap into that kind of potential as well, like I did in Minnesota. And according to Ian Bagley, Mitchell Robinson has made progress in practice, has been able to do quite a bit. Robinson is not doing 5-on-5 scrimmaging yet, but the fact that he's doing even more in practice now than ever before, it's a positive sign for Robinson and his return. The Knicks did not add any size to the roster after the deadline, not even during the deadline. They weren't even thinking about it. And that's because they have faith in Mitchell Robinson, when he's going to return, and what he's going to offer this roster once he returns. That tells me everything I need to know on the lineups we're going to see. I'm not saying we're going to see this lineup start. That's definitely not going to happen. Once Mitchell Robinson returns, he will be coming off the bench. He is now a bench player for New York. He will never start again unless a situation calls for it. But if that doesn't happen, he's always going to come off the bench. That double big lineup, or the tall lineup, as Karl-Anthony Towns calls it, we're only going to see that in spurts, maybe in 10 to 15-minute intervals every single night. And I'm perfectly okay with that, because when we see this lineup out there, Karl-Anthony Towns, he's going to give you the offense. Mitchell Robinson, he's going to give you the defense inside. And his defense inside is going to allow our wings to play better perimeter defense. They're not going to have to rush inside the paint and collapse inside. They're going to be able to stick with their man and not have to move away from them. And if they penetrate, no worry. You know who's going to be waiting for them inside the paint? The blockness monster himself, Mitchell Robinson. It's going to look good against certain teams, not every team, because this lineup has a couple of weaknesses. One of their major weaknesses, speed. They're very, very slow. Karl-Anthony Towns cannot run up the court fast. Mitchell Robinson cannot run up the court fast. That means two players on offense will not be there when you need them because of the defensive capabilities they're going to be able to give you on the other end of the ball, because those two are always going to be running back. If they're running back, the Knicks are going to be playing 3-on-5. That's going to be difficult. That's why I'm saying you play this lineup in spurts, but you also play this lineup against certain teams. Teams you know it'll work against, and we have an advantage against them when we use it. But until we're ready to see it, hopefully Tom Thibodeau will continue to run with the adjustment that we have been seeing. Karl-Anthony Towns and Ariel Hukporti. I have been loving that adjustment as of late. His energy, his aggression, his defense, his offense, the threat of his offense, all of that together makes me love Hukporti and his game that much more. And if you're getting ready to get Mitchell Robinson back, and you're eventually going to play that double big lineup, what better way to get the roster prepared for it by playing Karl-Anthony Towns and Huck Porty together. And it seems that's exactly what Tom Thibodeau and this Knicks team is doing, getting ready for the eventuality of Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns playing together. I love the way they're preparing, but I'm going to love it even more when I can see it finally on the court. But what about you guys? What do you think about OG Anunoby and these devastating injury updates? Again, it's devastating because we need him against the Boston Celtics, and we're not going to have him. And what about Karl-Anthony Towns and his comments on the quote-unquote tall lineup that we're going to see once Mitchell Robinson returns? Let me know how you feel about these updates in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.